Could WWE already be building towards Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42 for the World Heavyweight Championship? Because if they are, count me in. I'm Ben Allison and you're watching Allison Analysis, and here are my 5 key findings from last night's edition of Monday Night Raw. Let's get into it. In at number 5, Pat McAfee's promo got me hyped for his match with Gunther. This was genuinely a career promo from Pat McAfee, right? I mean, I remember he did have some great promos during his couple of feuds in NXT with Adam Cole, but even still, this was levels above that. It was fantastic, and it blurred the lines between reality and fiction, and that is where the best promos do take place. Because it is between that line when it is blurred that your disbelief gets suspended, as they like to say in wrestling, right? It is when it almost does feel real for a second, and you are really genuinely hooked into the promo, and this is what this achieved. Of course, we haven't seen McAfee compete in a ring for a couple of years now, so of course we're not really sure if he can still go, because it has been quite a few years and ring rust is a very real thing in wrestling. But regardless, I'm excited for this match, and out of anybody you could put any wrestler in the world against, Gunther I genuinely think is the best option. He's a wrestler who can adapt his style to mimic his opponent, to make his opponent feel comfortable, and can get a banger out of pretty much anybody. In at number 4, at least we now know the reason for the Lyra and Bailey tag team. I was questioning for weeks why Bailey and Lyra were tag teaming together. I was questioning why they got that tag team title shot at WrestleMania, and honestly, I just put it down to lazy booking. And then when Bailey was taken out before WrestleMania and Becky replaced her as a surprise, once again, I kinda just put it down to lazy booking. I thought there was no plan here, and the plan just was to try and get Becky and Lyra to tag team together. But at least we now know they had a plan, and the plan does make a lot of sense. It gave Becky the justification to turn on Lyra Valkyria. The fact that Lyra and Bailey buddied up while she was away, Bailey never apologized to Becky, it all does make a lot of sense. Now, I still don't really think it does justify taking Bailey off the WrestleMania card, or even just not having the Intercontinental Championship on the WrestleMania card in itself. But even still, at least there is now a reason, so in hindsight, it doesn't look anywhere near as bad as it was at the time. I'm guessing Becky is going to win the Intercontinental Championship at Backlash, and without a shadow of a doubt, she will elevate this championship, and I'm really excited to see her feud with Bailey in a couple of months' time as well. In at number 3, Jey Uso versus Logan Paul is the internet wrestling community's nightmare, but I love it. The IWC, especially on X, hates 2 things right now. One of them is Jey Uso in ring, and the other one is Logan Paul, and we are going to see them both at the same time at Backlash, but I'm all for it. Honestly, as long as this is just a one pay-per-view, a one premium live event feud, a short-term program, I am all good with it, because it's going to be fun. Will it be a 5-star classic in the ring? Probably not. There will probably be a lot of super kicks, a few things which, Twitter hates and all of that, but it'll be enjoyable, it will be fun, and for a B pay-per-view, I think that's perfectly fine. It'll be a fun first feud for Jey, and the fans in the crowds in the arenas themselves, I genuinely do think will be getting into it as well. Now, don't get me wrong, if this was at a SummerSlam or WrestleMania, I would be complaining too. I would get that. But this isn't that. This is Backlash. Now, before we go any further, if you guys could please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, that would be massively appreciated. Here at Wrestling Republic, we create between 5 to 10 free videos every single week, and in addition to that, we have a live daily stream every single day at 8 PM UK, 3 PM Eastern, 12 PM Pacific time over in the United States of America. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for watching. In at number 2, all signs are pointing towards a Lucha Brothers reunion. Not only did Penta's feud with the Judgment Day continue last night on Monday Night Raw, but we also saw him have a backstage encounter with Chad Gable, where Chad Gable made fun of his brother for losing to El Grande Americano at WrestleMania, so to me it now does seem clear that we are going to see Penta and Phoenix tag team together once again soon. My guess is that we are going to see a draft in the next few weeks, or at least announced in the next few weeks. So over the next few weeks, Penta's going to have kind of the numbers game against him. But when the draft does happen, I presume Rey Fenix is going to go over to Monday Night Raw and then help Penta reunite the Lucha Brothers and hopefully inject some much needed life into the Raw tag team division. I've got to say, I am a massive fan about the fact that they kind of did establish them as singles competitors first, singles stars, because, if God forbid one of them ever does get injured, now the other one could easily have a singles run, or even if they ever get split up in the draft in the future or something like this. I also do feel like the fact that they are both legitimate singles competitors does make them kind of feel a bit stronger as a tag team as well, and no doubt they are going to be a massive force when they are teaming together on Monday nights. And in at number 1, could we be building towards Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn for the World Championship at WrestleMania 42? This is far too early to make a prediction like this, but screw it, I'm going to make it anyway. What if Seth Rollins defeats Sami Zayn at Backlash? Seth Rollins then goes on to win the King of the Ring tournament and face Jey Uso for the World Championship at SummerSlam, where he is victorious and holds the World Championship all the way to WrestleMania, where Sami Zayn gets a World Championship shot and an opportunity on the grandest stage of them all to win the one thing which he has never won in WWE, and that is a World Championship. Like I said, it's a hell of an early call, but Sami Zayn does deserve a moment like this. He does certainly deserve a World Championship in his career, and honestly, I do think he deserves to win it at a WrestleMania at this point. And you guys know me, I am a sucker for long-term storytelling, I'm a sucker for foreshadowing, and what we saw last night, that would certainly be that. But that's enough about my thoughts from last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. Now let's get into the thoughts which you guys have submitted to us via our Instagram broadcast channel. Let's kick things off with this opinion from The Real Som2, who is saying WWE needs to make sense of this Roxanne and Julia partnership because Roxanne looks like a fool teaming up with her. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I think Julia looks as much of a fool as Roxanne does because both of them have been feuding together in NXT. It makes absolutely no sense, you are right. But this isn't anything new in WWE. They have constantly ignored major plot points from NXT storylines when they have called up wrestlers to the main roster. And with Triple H, I did kind of anticipate that that was going to change, but over the last couple of years now, it has become clear it has not. So while from that perspective, I'm not a fan of it, I actually am a fan of putting these two together, and I do think it decreases the chances of either of them getting lost in the shuffle. Having them both as a duo, as a formidable duo on the main roster, I do think is probably the right move out of the gate, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Also, the blue hairstyle that Julia had, kind of, contrasting with a pink hairstyle that Roxanne had last night, I thought visually worked really good as well. And this leads directly into Shard's point, because Shard has submitted a point saying NXT Women's Invasion angle on the main roster would be so great. Have Roxanne, Julia, and Stephanie wreak havoc and collect all the belts. Now, here is the thing, that faction, I genuinely would love. Blue, pink, and black, or even blue, pink, and red, actually. White, red actually makes 10 times more sense, because she has red on her gear, Stephanie, as well. Yeah, I could see this happening, and I would love to see it. Again, it completely and utterly disregards the stories that they've been telling in NXT, and that is a little bit frustrating. But if we're talking just a main roster perspective, I'd be all for this, and I'd really be excited to see it. Plus, like I said, it would ensure that these three ladies don't get lost in the shuffle in that really built and really chaotic women's division. The next comment is sent in by Archcart, who is saying, it's clear to me after Raw that the fans who like to be edgy and cheer the heels are fully back in WWE crowds now. Sami got no sympathy. I'm going to be honest, Archie, I don't think they ever left these crowds. I think it just depends on, where they are. Kansas City, I do think they were a little bit more of a rebel crowd to begin with anyway. Plus, this Seth Rollins faction is new. It's the new shiny toy. So I do think for the next few weeks, they are going to get cheers. But as time goes on, I do think crowds will, root for the baby faces. Up next, we have an opinion from I Am Liam Long, who says, I thought it was great, referring to last night's Raw. Pat was cutting the coldest promo ever, and Lyra is a real champion. Certainly, both Pat McAfee and also Lyra Valkyria looked great last night. Both of them cut great promos and looked really impressive in the process, no doubt about it. I agree completely. And at Lil_HZ says, Puss Tyler Bate, man. I'd sell my soul to see more of my NXT UK GOAT and to have him get an Intercontinental Championship run. I couldn't agree more. He is so talented, no doubt about it. Same for Pete Dunne as well. I mean, these guys are just so underutilized. It is crazy to me. And when Triple H took over creative, I really did expect both of those guys to get bigger pushes than they've actually had. So it has kind of been a little bit of a surprise to me on that one. But hey, Tyler Bate is still young. I'm not even sure if he's 30 yet. So he's still got a lot of time, right? It's not like, that he's being massively underused and his career's being ruined. He does have time on his side. But unless they are going to take advantage of him soon enough, I do think maybe he does need to consider going elsewhere. But overall, last night's episode of Monday Night Raw wasn't anything overly special, but was still very fun throughout. I enjoyed it. Enjoyable indeed. So I'd say a subtle round of applause off me. Nothing more, nothing less. But let me know what you guys thought of the show down in the comments down below. I always love to hear from you. Thank you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.